Hello, hello, everybody. Good evening. We are back with Nights with Nora, and we have some very, very special guests today, guys. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves later on, but what I want you guys to know that we are speaking on shame. I have some powerhouse women, so I want you guys right now to go ahead and share this live chat. Share it to your group, share it to your pages. Everybody needs to partake in what we're getting ready to talk about tonight. There are so many women who suffer in shame. And tonight we are going to get free. And with the help of these women and the power of God that's flowing through us tonight already, we've been talking, we've been laughing, we already ready, y'all. So get ready to receive. So right now, I want you ladies to share this video, share it to your groups, share it to your pages, add your friends and tag some folks because they need to hear the message that we're getting ready to spread to you all tonight. It's a message on hope. It's a message that will free you. It's a message that is good for your soul. I promise you that you will not regret the hour that you spend with us tonight. I'm going to start you guys off with prayer tonight. And I really want you guys to lean in to what I have to say. Dear Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you right now for each and every one of the women and men, if they're listening, that are under my voice. I want to thank you for what you're getting ready to do in their hearts and in their minds and in their mental health, God. I know that it's so important, so very important that we begin to take care of ourselves, of our inner selves. Our mental health is so very important. And if we can take care of that parts of ourselves, that it will extend to other areas of our lives. God, I want to thank you right now again for giving me the ability to be able to do what I'm getting ready to do tonight. And for each and every one of these ladies and what's on their heart tonight. And for God bringing us together, because this is a God thing. This collaboration is good. You saw it coming before I even did. Let it be plentiful and blessings to each one of our spirits. This I pray in your most precious name, Jesus. Amen. All right, y'all. If you're in the building, just say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. Say hello to us. We are getting ready to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to let these ladies introduce themselves. And they'll just tell you guys a little bit about who they are and kind of their history with the work that they've been doing. So I'm so excited. And I'll go ahead and Tatiana, you can go first. And then we'll just go around. And introduce yourself and let everyone know who you are.
All right, my name is Tatiana Smith. I am an LPC. I am from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have been in this field for over 10 years. I work from a vast range from young children, ages 3 on up, and I love what I do.
That's so awesome. Welcome to the team, sis. We so happy to have y'all in Girl Talk. Y'all say welcome to her. Let her know that y'all support her and y'all love her. And we so happy to have you. This is her first time on here, y'all. So we really got to give a big welcome to her. And thank you again, Tatiana, for being with us. Go ahead.
My name is Darnisha Sellers. I'm also from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I currently live in Oklahoma City. I am also LPC, a licensed professional counselor. I've also been in the field for more than 10 years now. I think this is my 12th year. And I work with a variety of ages as well. I love what I do. I love the work. I love to see the change in people. And I'm just excited to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited. This is her first guys, so we're excited about having her here. If you guys would say welcome to her, I'm sure she'll be happy and enjoy that as well. So go ahead, Gail.
Well, my name is Gail Cato. I'm also a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Oklahoma. I've been in this field a long time as well. I believe about 11 or 12 years. Same about Darnisha. As you heard, all three of us, we serve all populations, we serve all cultures, we serve all ages. The biggest thing that we about is God, love, order, and wisdom, and applying that to therapy. We're all just experienced women in our field, and this is our next level. What you said, Nora, really speaking to people about how important it is during this time to not only have your hearts and minds free and clear, but everything about your life, your mental health, your emotional stability, your spiritual health, all these things are very important right now. So again, like all of us said, we love what we do, and that's why we're here tonight.
And I'm so excited though. Like I just love it when I'm able to bring first of all, I love having guests, and I love having people who are passionate about the work as I am, and the healing work that it takes to be able to go from one level to the next. It's just the overcoming that I love to see. I love to see women who were once broken to be whole again. That just brings me so much joy. And I feel like tonight that people are gonna get free. And that freedom, oh my God, it's just so good to hear that freedom, to see that freedom from people. So anytime I link up or I'm able to collab with folks that are in this field, it's always a blessing for me. So we're going to start off, guys, talking about shame, and it's kind of a topic that people don't talk about. Obviously, if you're ashamed, you're not going to speak about your shame or your embarrassment or things that have happened to you that have caused you to hide. So tonight, I'm going to give the floor to the ladies once I start asking the questions and speaking on this topic. But I really want you guys to think of something right now that you have been holding in your heart that has brought you shame, that has brought you embarrassment, that has something that you kind of said, oh, I'm taking this to the grave. I'm embarrassed. I'm not asking you to type it out loud, but to begin to think on that thing that has held you hostage or that you have kept in the dark. So I want you guys to start thinking about that right now as we begin to get into this, because it's something I want you guys to really understand that you can be free from. If in the past that you have assumed that I'm never going to get away from it, I'm just going to have to live with it. This is just going to be my thorn. This is going to be something I carry. I'm telling you tonight that that's a lie from the enemy, and you're going to get free tonight. So I'm going to get into this thing. And my first question to you ladies is what is shame, and what do you think causes it? And I'll start with you, Tatiana, and we'll just kind of go how we introduced ourselves. But the question is, what is shame, and what do you think causes it?
So to me, I just feel like shame is one of those things, like you said, it's something that makes you feel like you want to hide. You want to hide who you are. You want to hide yourself from the world, and you just want to shut off from the things that even brought you the shame. And I know that shame can come from a variety of different places. Shame can come from inside the home. Shame can come from your church, religion, and just different things like that. I'm so ready to get in more depth of just dealing with the shame, because it's so much, and it's a variety of different areas, to where especially the enemy will come up, in your life to, put shame on you. So
Most definitely. I totally agree. Especially when the enemy puts stuff on us and we feel like we put it on ourselves, but the enemy is happy when you in shame, because as long as he has you in shame, he has you in bondage.
yes.
And that's just we'll talk more about it. I'm like you, Tatiana. I'm ready to get into the good stuff. I'm like, oh, we gotta get into it,
Yes.
It's so good. But because with that shame comes bondage. Darnisha, talk a little bit about what your thoughts are on shame, and even if you want to expand on that bondage, you can go into that too as well. Go ahead.
So I totally agree with Tatiana. It is most of the things in life that we've done or been done to us, that we've told, even societal things that they put on us, and we've shamed ourselves for not living up to those, or whatever society has put on us. And that bondage is not being able to move forward, being stuck because you have, and since self-sabotage yourself to believe in the lies of the enemy, believing that because of this shame, because of what you've done or what has been done to you, that you keep yourself in that bondage and not being able to move forward and be able to get free. So most of the things that we are shameful of, we don't say out loud, but those are the things we need to speak about.
Yeah.
So again, I don't want to I can go on for a little bit longer.
No,
So I'm
you
just
have another thought. Go ahead. Yeah.
so the biggest part of shame is that I was trying to say is just be able to speak about it. You know, as therapists, we always tell people to use their voice. That's one of the most powerful things that we have in our lives, and most of the time we don't use it when we need to. So with being aware of those things you're shameful of, speak about them. That way you can be delivered from them.
Ooh, I like
Uh,
that.
mm,
I like that, Darnisha. Speak about it so it can be delivered. Because a lot of times, and I don't know if I've been watching too many Tyler Perry movies, but I know that in those movies he talks about a lot of African Americans hide things in their homes, right? The shame. They say, okay, we don't need to think about that. What happens in this house stays in this house. And I'm like, no, we need to speak on the things that hurt us. And I think trained at a young age that it's okay to hide bad things about ourselves and present the good, right? We bury the bad and present the good. And we go into a cycle of that at, 5, 6 years old is hide the bad and promote the good. And then you get to a place where you put up a self that is not real,
Absolutely.
because here you are, this person that you never wanted to be. I mean, that you want people to see, but they don't really know the real you. All that you
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So shame is very much a learned behavior. It's a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been taught to be very closed about those things. We've been taught to not speak on them. It's a very much a learned behavior. I agree.
Ooh, that's good. So I know it's not on the list, but in learning those behaviors, and I know we probably gonna get to it in this, but in learning those behaviors, how hard is it to unlearn when you got that stuff embedded in you from childhood? Talk a little bit about that.
So I'm glad you talked about that because most of us deal with children. So we counsel majority children right now. That's kind of our niche area. We started with kids, and so we really hone on being able to basically create. If we teach kids the skills now, they don't end up being the adults we have to counsel later. It's pretty much our turn. So with you, it is extremely difficult once you have lived with things for so long, especially from childhood, to remove them because you have it ingrained in your mind. So it is a very conscious thing. You have to be aware. And then once you're aware, you have to be able to be diligent enough to speak it out loud. And then you have to make the conscious decision to make the actions to change your learned behavior.
You giving us all kind of quotes. I like that. That is so
true. Like, is it my turn yet?
It's your turn.
It's your turn, Gail.
Yes, it's your turn.
I was like, yes, thank you, Darnisha. But y'all can join flow, and we really helping y'all understand this stuff. But yes, what she was saying, as therapists, I'll definitely go back, Nora, and talk about my definition that God gave me for shame. But as therapists, we always do the ACE, and that's the adverse childhood effects. How did your childhood affect you? And people really don't understand this. Oftentimes, when I'm doing intake for adults, the scale is from 1 to 10, and most people score 4 or more, higher. Means that you had some trauma, some very traumatic experience in your childhood. If you don't deal with that, where does it go? It does not go anywhere. And I think it's really starting, like, we as humans, we can almost equate it to as a car. You can drive your car miles and miles and miles, but when that oil light go on, you better go get your oil changed. But that's almost the same thing with our feelings, with our spirit, all these things that are really checking in with us, even as adults. When you start getting these checks, these triggers, these situations where you haven't dealt with them for so long, this is an indication to you that it's time for you to get the check that you need, the check that you need for your mental health, your emotional health, your spirit. Something is not right. But everything like what Darnisha said, I work with children. We all work with children, and we're giving our kids these tools because no one gave them to us, and you will not get them probably unless you see a therapist. Because how can someone teach you things they did not know? So speaking of child and being in the homes our parents didn't know. So how could they teach us something that they didn't know? But we're here in a new generation, and God has given us tools within Glow to combat a lot of these things. To kind of go back to even what you were saying about the definition, well, shame is like a negative critical analysis of yourself or your situation. So yeah, bad things happen, but do you necessarily have to see it like that? If we are believers, like what we say, according to God, Romans 8:28, all things work together for our good. So if we know that anything that we go through, anything that we deal with is going to work for us, why would you be ashamed about it? That's just my thing about it. Go ahead, Nora.
No. I was just trying to snap and go say I love it. Keep going.
So when you say the effects of shame, it's just deeply rooted mental, spiritual, and physical problems most likely you've had from a childhood age. Now, granted, I always tell my team this, like in childhood, I didn't really go through a lot. My experience didn't come in life to my adulthood to where I really felt a certain type of way. But what shame does for all of us, all people, is it presents like an identity crisis. And what Tatiana, Darnisha, what you were saying, Elnora, is right. Who are you? You know, outside of that. And so many people don't know who they are, because if you know whose you are and whom you are, again, you will not be ashamed. The devil's job is to make you shut up, is to keep you quiet. When God comes, he says, you speak loudly, you speak boldly, you use your voice. So what we're trying to do, Glow, Elnora, what you're doing, what we're all doing, we're, I guess, the vessels God is using to be like, hey, yeah, I went through some stuff, but guess what? We popping, you know, like we not ashamed. But that's freeing us. We are living our best lives, and I know you understand this, Elnora. It's because no matter what we go through, we know it's working for our good. We believe that. We live like that. We have no shame. But again, do you know how long it took us to get to this point? We had to figure out and know who we was, who our identity were. I had to figure out who Gail's was. And Tatiana, Darnisha, Elnora, I guess we were all just talking about this. We had to know who we were before we to speak to other people about how to walk them and help them walk through this walk of figuring out who they are.
I like that. That is so true. I think that if we wouldn't have done the work, and I hope y'all can hear me, it was a feedback in the mic earlier, but I think if we wouldn't have done the work that it took to heal and get to the next level, and you got a couple amens over there too, Gail. You can't see them, but they're saying, hey man, we got some praise hands in the comments. But if we done the healing work that it took to get to where we are now, I don't think that we could be clean, efficient people in order to bring this message right. I feel like a lot of times people don't do the work on themselves, and they begin to give a false story or a false pretense of what this is. But until you actually go through the work of healing your own self, of doing the work with God and getting back to your maker, I don't think you can effectively be able to speak on these topics, right, ladies? I hope you guys agree with me in that area. I know we're on mute a little bit. We can't talk within each other's mics, but we can all come to agreements that we all had to do the work. You know, we're not speaking from a far off land or fairy tale or a story or a movie that we watched. This is real life for us. We've been through these trying areas where we were ashamed, and that we had to drop that shame, and maybe still work it today, because I don't think the work ever ends, right? I don't think the work that you do on yourself ever stops. You continue to grow. You continue to perfect yourself. As long as you're on this earth, you will be trying to still become a better version of who you are now. And that's what I want you ladies to understand and know about this work, is that it's continual work. Just like you said about the car analogy. You got to continue to service it. If you just let the thing go, it's going to break down and be on the side of the road smoking. That's how we feel. Well, that's where we were at. I was at that place in 2020 when we were in the pandemic. I was just over there smoking. the engine light was on. I needed help. I had not maintenance myself. I had not dug into who I was. I hadn't took a vacation, did some self-care, prayed, got consulted my maker, talked to God. And I was just out. I want you guys to know it's a continual process that you don't ever get off and say, oh, I'm good, for the next 30 years. No, you continue the work and it can be done. So thank you, ladies, for answering that and going into details. It was so good. Did you guys have anything else to add to that part? Because I know we had dipped into a couple other topics. And Tatiana, you didn't get to talk as long as you did. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I was just going to piggyback off of everything that you just said. Pretty much that is a conversation we have all the time as far as it being a continuous process, because your life, if you're here, you are going to continue to experience different things. And so there's going to be things that you have been healed from. But guess what? Once you get healed from that, then guess what? Other things start to come up. And so, especially when it comes to childhood, we have to understand that we're no longer victims as adults. You're no longer the victim anymore. So it's coming from a place of victory. So how do you get your victory? And understanding that the victory is only going to be won if you're at the feet of Jesus. The victory can't be won on your own. And so you have to come to a place to where you understand, like, I can't do this without you, God. So how can I move forward? How can I get to the place of my healing? Even how do I even start the process? A lot of us don't even know what we need to even start walking out the process of being healed. And I can only say that because that's where I've been, just trying to figure out life and just going, like you said, and just continuing to go and never taking that breath or taking the time to even assess what is it that you need. Do you even know what you need? And so these are conversations that we have often, and understanding that God wants us to understand what we need, and we can only find out what we need in Him. And so if we stay close to Him, He'll let us, and He'll let us know what we need. He'll also show us what we need to heal from.
Wow, that's good. I like that. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to add to what Tatiana said. As we're going through this process of being healed, the ideal is as you're continually going through these processes and these things in life, as you're getting healed, as you're getting closer to God, those things become easier to deal with. The ideal is that when you start the process, when you heal and they come, you know how to deal with it. It becomes easier. So I don't want people to be afraid of hearing that you're going to continue to go through things. Once you get healed, once you get closer to God and you're talking to Him, these things become minute. They become easy to deal with, and you know how to roll through the punches with them, and it doesn't break you completely down like it did before.
Exactly. That's so good. So true. Y'all ladies are dropping gems. I hope everybody's taking notes, because I'm taking notes right now. But I love it. You just have to go through the process. I remember hearing someone say, I don't know, y'all. I'm from the hood, and I had a couple hood fights, right? And so in order to win a fight, you can't be scared to take a punch. You have to understand that when you get into the fight, someone's gonna hit you. You're gonna have to get hit. In order to get close to the enemy, you might have to take a punch. But I was, as you bouncing around trying to figure out how you defeat this giant, just in my mind, I'm thinking about a hood fight. I don't know. I guess I'm ghetto. But when you get in there, you gotta take a punch in order to get closer to your opponent. So when I think about this idea of healing and getting closer, I'm thinking about I gotta take a couple punches. I might have to take a punch in order to get to my main goal, right? And so if I have to take that punch, so sometimes when you dig this, you're gonna dig up some childhood wounds, and they're gonna be the punch. Oh, this person wasn't nice to me. They were mean. He wasn't a good father. She wasn't a good mother to me. Maybe my grandma was keeping secrets from me. You're gonna have to find out some stuff about your past. It's gonna feel like a punch, right? But you're gonna have to take that punch in order to get to the next level. So I know that that's a kind of a hood example, y'all, but I had to say it because I had to say it how I thought about it, because that's exactly what it feels like when you go healing. Go ahead, Gail, because I know you got
some. Because what you said is, we all fighters, right? We know this, like everybody knows, we can throw down. I was telling them I've been reading Joyce Meyer's book, Do It Afraid, Nora. And even in the fight, I don't care if you're the biggest person. I was You say you never scared, but in any fight, I'm like, this might be the first time I lose, type of thing. Go ahead. Like in any fight. And we're
Right.
fighters. But what she was saying in 40 years, she said that she's been in ministry. But what she was saying is always a woman that's on a very high level is telling us it gets easier as you go when you know your opponent. How you get to know your opponent, how you get to know your enemy is you have to face it. You cannot run from, you can't be scared. I had a message about this a year ago, like bullying the bully. It's like when you finally stand up to the person that is just been bullying your life. I had to do that. I had to finally look at all my stuff that had been hurting me. But if you guys can understand it, the women, men who is listening, when you actually confront the thing that has been trying to destroy you, that's how you get the victory. That's how you win against the enemy. What the devil wants you to do is run like a bully. But when you finally stand up to your bully, guess what usually happens? You win. You knock them out. Every time when I started learning bullies were weak, you know what I'm saying? The devil really is weak. Yes, he attacks. Yes, he does things and he puts things in your life, especially when he understands you don't have the tools. But like what Tatiana said, when you become an adult, God says you are responsible for your own life. It is not a poor me anymore. It's how can I get the victory? How do you get the victory over anything that has been done to you? You have to confront it. And I'm not saying you got to confront that person or that situation. Sometimes people have moved on, passed on, whatever, but you have to confront it within your life. And this is where therapy takes place. This is where God's word takes place. God has given us so many weapons and tools to combat, how to fight the enemy. In a Hosea 4:6, he says, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge." But the wisdom is out here. It's the tools is here. So we have no choice. If you want to live a victorious life, if you want to live the rich, abundant, and satisfying life that God has promised us all, you're going to have to confront the enemy. But guess what, y'all? When y'all do that, you win. You really do.
You do. All of this stuff, y'all. We literally just getting started. My next thought to you ladies is tell me how you know shame. And I'm gonna combine what I think as well, because I want to be coming to tell me about
Your mic.
Let's see. Can y'all hear me now? No.
It's just a little bit static.
It is staticky. Okay, hold on. Gotta rearrange this. Maybe put on my headphones. Am I still staticky? Sorry. Let's see, my bad. No, that didn't help. You must be.
But you notice it started messing up when we started giving people the tools to beat the enemy. Y'all, the devil don't want y'all to know this. So I hope y'all listen because that's why it is happening.
Am I still super staticky?
Nope, you good right there. You good.
Okay. I was just gonna go on and ask you. You can start talking. Give us some example of how shame has affected your life, and you were able to overcome.
Okay, for me, when it comes to shame, shame has affected my life in several different ways. From a young girl, being 5 years old, I was molested by my uncle. So shame tried to creep in that area. Um, and, you know, not feeling like I was good enough or pretty throughout, school age and everything like that. Because, kids can be mean, they can be cruel, in several different areas with that. And so that that was one of the main ways. And so keeping that a secret, not wanting to tell anybody, not actually telling my mom until I was an adult that this had happened to me. And so then not only that, being marrying my oldest two girls, marrying their dad, and then having to divorce him. So another area, of my life that people will be like, oh, you failed. And so um here comes shame again. And so the enemy wanted obviously me to feel like make me feel like I was a failure, make me feel like I wasn't good enough, make me feel like here you are again, you've been abused, you've been thrown away, and now you feel that you're no longer good enough. But the thing about it was is that he didn't know that I wasn't going to settle. So I wasn't going to settle for less than what I knew God was calling me to. So you may want to come into my life and try to talk in my ear and tell me that I failed at marriage, but God is saying, but He couldn't carry you. He couldn't cover you. So even though you wanted to shame me, devil, my father was already letting me know that I was good enough, that I was better than. And so that's what the enemy does though. Then he wants to try to creep in your life and he wants to pull the old you out. So everything that you used to do and how you used to respond, guess what? I'm gonna bring those situations to you and I'm gonna make you feel some type of way. And guess what? I'm gonna even allow you in your second marriage. Oh, you think it's gonna be better. Oh, but I'm gonna bring hell to your front door and make you feel as if you've done worse than what you've done before. But when God wants to get into an area of your life and He wants to start healing you, guess what? He'll let all hell break loose to get you to a place to let you know, I need you to sit right here and I'm not going to let you go nowhere until you start dealing with you, until you start recognizing it's not about everybody else, it's about you. I'm gonna allow that shame to come. I'm gonna allow you to feel it. But guess what? Once you felt it and once you start coming to me, and once you start healing and walking through your process, then guess what? Everything else starts to work out. But a lot of us get in this process or start it, and then we have to start over. We get in it, we start, and then we got to start over. Why? Because we start running from the stuff that don't feel good. We start running from shame. And God is saying, I want you to face it. I want you to deal with it. But I don't like me. I don't want to deal with me today. I don't like that part of me. But God is saying, I don't want you to keep holding on to that part of you. I don't want you to keep, dealing with that part of you. And so for me, I'm talking about from a young girl even to now, it's been a process. But a process that I said I'm gonna commit to. And I'm gonna stick with it.
Exactly. I like that. Wow.
Yeah.
That was a good testimony, first of all. Thank you for sharing that with us. I hope y'all all can hear. I know that some of the little parts that I heard and was able to take away from that. Wow, that is exactly what some of us are living through right now. Situations are different, but that bondage, I can get that word, y'all, because it's so true that it has bondage you free, and he begins to spill those lies into you, like what you said about your divorce and your second, and that it won't make it, like basically saying history is going to repeat itself.
Right.
And we talked a little bit before, me and Gail, about generational curses, right? Breaking those generational curses. And what happened in the past is going to stay in the past, that it stops with me. It stops with me and my kids, or it stops with my grandkids. Like we're not taking what happened in that generation onto this generation. And the enemy will allow you to sit with that shame and that disappointment and that mess up for generation after generation after generation. But because of the decision that you made,
Yeah.
your grandkids and your children won't have to go through. Does that make sense?
Most definitely. And that's conversations that we've had because I said, my kids will not have to feel what I felt. I'm going to fight this whether I want to or not, because it's been times because it's been that heavy. I didn't want to fight it, but it's just like, no, I'm going to fight this. Why? Because First of all, I don't know who God is going to call after me. So if you're calling me to it, that means you believe that I can do it. So if my God believes that I'm big enough and I'm strong enough, then I'm going to make sure, oh no, devil, you're not going to even get a chance or opportunity to bring that at my baby's doorstep. You're not even going to have a chance or opportunity to be able to speak that lie. And that's been my prayer. God, make my children know who you are now, early, so they don't have to wait till 35, 36 to figure out who their God is. So they'll know, they'll take a stance for their life now. And so it's important that even us with children, us with children as mothers, to speak life into them now. Speak the God that you want to see in them now. Call it forth. And we hear it all the time. Call those things that are not as though they are. We know what we're fighting. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. We know those things that we're fighting. We know it's a lot of things that we may not be able to see, and it's a lot of things that we don't understand. But God is saying, I brought you to it. So if I brought you to this, I'm going to bring you out on the other side of this. If he put them in the fire, if he put the Hebrew boys in the fire, and if they came out not even smelling like smoke, oh my God, then who am I? Okay, if you call me, who am I?
Yes.
I know who I am. And that's all it is us understanding. Who are you? Do you know? And if you don't know, you need to know, because what's coming for us, as we see on media and all these different things, these babies, they are coming for our babies. Our generation didn't have as much visual, as they do now, but they are coming for our babies. And it's time for us to take a stance for these children. It's time for us to get our lives back and understand and let everybody know, as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. And it's important for children to know, like, it's not about being a follower. It's not about following, it's not about that. You be the leader. Let everybody follow you. And how is everybody going to see you? Let them see your light shine now. I'm just now getting my chance to glow, but I'm telling you, baby, you're going to glow way before me. Everything that everybody needs to see is going to come. It's going to come for you even before now. So I speak life into my children, and it's important that we don't even shame our children for the small things, but we teach them. It is important to teach, not to shame. It's important to let them know, just because you did something wrong, I'm going to correct you, but I'm going to correct you in love. I'm not going to shame you. I'm going to correct you. I'm going to love you through it. And we're going to walk this thing out together. We got to. These babies need it. They need it so much.
Yeah, wow, that's so good. Wow, you preaching to us tonight. At this point, I'm getting my whole life.
I was about to say, you see what we be getting out there? You see what y'all
You know what I
actually Tatiana. So that was just
yeah, you've been hiding these girls from me. I'm missing out. Oh my goodness, y'all have to bring me to dinner because I know it'd be lit.
it does. Like
Wow.
I'm just gonna concur with Tatiana, because I really believe, as far as Glow, we have a whole 52-week program, and this is no way promoting it, but it's like we know what we're talking about, and we talk about it so much. And Elnor, you understand the topics that God has given us to speak on, they're not being spoke about, but we have the wisdom and the knowledge. And it's like, only thing I can say is thank you again, Elnor, for putting us on here. But listen, our people perish for a lack of knowledge. And what Tatiana said, if God is bringing something into your life, into the forefront, it is your turn to face this thing so that our kids don't have to follow. Because the truth is, in Bible times, it will be 40, 50 years before sometimes in a generation, in a family, where someone was rose up again to actually be the leader. So I know in this time, according to Esther 4:14, that God has created us for a time such as this. And if we don't do it, what Tatiana said, the generation, our children and their children, they really are going to be fighting hell on earth. And it shouldn't be that way. If you wanted that same type of love and protection as a child, or if you still as an adult want that type of love, protection, covering, wisdom, you should be giving it to your children. Me and Tatiana talk a lot. I'm thanking God for her being my friend. Just as far as being parents, I literally had told her, like, I would have thought about having a child if I really understood biblically what we were supposed to be doing with these kids. God really does say raise them up in a way that they should go for a reason, because he knew what was about to be taking place. It is our responsibility once we have these children to raise them up right. Again, shame starts as a child. What you said, Nora, most African American families, we are taught not to talk about things. So, what do you think that you're putting in your child? They're going to be ashamed of things that they go through. That's going to cause identity crisis in them. Anything our kids are dealing with, we are addressing it with them. And you know, as friends, I can say that's why our kids are glowing. They are getting better. They are being better. We are passing these things down. That's legacy. You don't want to continue to pass down curses in your family. It's time to pass blessings. And only how you get blessings is when you reverse the curse. These generational curses that we all are fighting. All four of us right now for our families.
I totally agree. Oh my goodness, that was so good, Gail. So wow, we didn't went into a whole nother thing. We got to come. Obviously, we're gonna have to do a part two. I hope y'all can hear me okay. I know it's been so choppy, y'all. I'm so sorry. Y'all stick with me tonight. It is so good and what they're pouring into y'all hearts. Do not allow the enemy to take you away from the mission. Not even if you have to lean in and rewatch this later. Do not move away from what God has got on your heart tonight. And you should, Yana and Darnisha, you got something on your heart as well. We'll just go about a time. We'll continue this on that you had to deal with shame and you overcame that shame. And how is it now for you after overcoming that shame? So you can, Gail, you can go next. I won't even jump in there. I'll just let y'all flow.
Okay. It's ironically that we talk about children because of the three of us, I'm the only one who does not have children, and I'm the oldest. And so for most of my, 20s, my friends were getting married and having kids, and that shame built up because you constantly hear, when you gonna have babies, when you gonna get married? And I'm 37, and I'm 37 with no kids and never been married, and people put their expectations on you. And for a long time, I felt internally, not outside, but internally, I felt bad because I felt like God kept passing me over. Like, this person keep having kids, and this person is getting married, and all these things and situations. And I felt like I just kept getting, I get people missed over. Like, when you handing out blessings, you just kind of kept moving over Darnisha when it came to that. Like, that was unfair. And it was very internalized because anybody who knows me, I've never really spoke on that really publicly because it was a very internal thing for me and God. I felt, pushed over. But as I've gotten closer to him and having these conversations, I had to understand that God works on his time. And so when he's ready for you, he sets that time aside for you. And that won't look like anybody else's story. That won't look like what society has put on you. That won't look like what your mom been telling you and your cousin and your friend telling you need to look. That won't look when God puts his blessings upon you. It's on his time frame. So I had to get out of the mind frame of being ashamed because I didn't reach a time frame that someone else said and not my God. And so now my mind frame is when people ask me, when you having kids and when you getting married, I said when God sends him, when God says so, because that's when it is. I tried it my way, but my way did not work. You know what I'm saying? And so now I understand that he's leaving something specifically special for me. I don't have to have kids out of wedlock because he's going to send me my husband, and then we're going to create our family. I will be the example. I will be the exception to the rule, as opposed to being one of many in the same line of everybody else. And so I had to get that strong relationship and understand with him that you're special. I'm setting you apart. You don't have to be like everybody else. And so once I understood that, I don't have to put this personal timeline, that a doctor can't tell me a timeline, that when God says it's so, it's so, that's what it's going to be. That shame dropped away. And so now I boldly say to people when they tell me that, I'll be like, when God says so, when God says my husband, when it's ordained by him. And that kind of shuts people up. No, I don't want your hookup unless it's coming from God. And I always laugh because it's funny, because I work primarily with children. And I always say, when I'm talking about one of my kids, I always say my kids. So I think he's just preparing me and been preparing me for the last 12 years as I've been working with kids. Because whenever I refer to my kids, I don't refer to them as my clients. I refer to them as my kids.
That's so good. It's funny you said that, because I struggle with that as well, Darnisha. I don't know if I'm still ever. It's literally, I didn't get married till I was 31, but I was in shame about trying to find a man. Oh my God. And people pressuring you to say, when is you a man? If you had a man, that's why you're so angry, because you need a man. Are you a nun? Are you homosexual? I got all those questions. It was so bad. And God found me so long, of course, just like you. I didn't know. I thought I was being cheated. I know my mic might be a little choppy, y'all. I'm sorry. I hope y'all can hear me okay. Yes, ma'am. I totally went through that, and I'm in agreement with you. What God has for you, what God has for you is for you, and can't nobody take that away. He's on his way, and when he get here, and you get back in that groove, you already gonna be prepared, because you had to go through everything you went through to be your children, and for that husband that been on his way. And you gonna think, well, man, time all mopey or whatever what happened in the past, because here the man is, and it seems so short once it's here. The way was so long to get there, but when you get into that thing, it's gonna be like, oh. So I'm standing with you in faith that man is coming, and I'm so happy that you're in a place in now. But I promise to God that when you get into the place that you at right now, because that's when you're not worried, you're not bothered, and you on his time frame, and you no longer on yours, that time is gonna seem so I'm just giving that to you as it's coming to my spirit right now. And the only thing I'm asking for is an invitation to the wedding at this point. So I hope I'm not as choppy as I was earlier. But go ahead, Ms. Share.
Oh, you got me emotional. Well, Darnisha's my cousin. Of course, that's Tatiana's best friend. But when you were saying that, like, yes, we've been in agreement. So thank you, Nora. You got me emotional, because what she said, we've all had to get to this point, whether we married, single, children, without children, of contentment in God and Christ Jesus. It's a confidence, or like we say, a Godfidence. Once we know who you are, and once you know that God has a good plan from your life, again, it's like the shame and everything that was trying to come up against you, or the lies of an enemy, it fades away because you know that whatever plan that God has for you is good. So I'm just saying thank you, Nora, because I received that even for my cousin. But I'll just talk a little bit while you get in about my personal battle with shame. And so I think I'm not even gonna say most people know my story, but I want to say this disclaimer: me and my ex are in a great place. We are great co-parentings, but the end of our divorce, of course, if you in Tulsa, then you know all about it. It was like front page news. But from a woman's standpoint, and I hope that women really understand this. I know Elnora and I, we have definitely talked about what cheating does to women and what cheating causes as far as our own self-worth, our value. I had to deal with those things. When I was getting divorced at the time, my son behind me had passed away. So not only were my husband and I dealing with certain things, but also our child had passed. And at that time, I really didn't understand what I understand now in God is how a person treats you is really how they feel about themselves. And I didn't really understand it at the point, like, he was dealing with some stuff, I had some stuff, but instead of us trying to work through our stuff and work through our own individual things, we didn't have the tools. I understand that now. Going through grief, going through all these things, we definitely didn't have the process. But I thank God, the place that Gail is now, again, Romans 8:28, all things worked for my good. When I was going through what I was going through at the time, even women was close to me. It was so much gossip. I was embarrassed. You know what I mean? Pretty much shame is embarrassment. Any type of feelings that you will have about a situation. Quite honestly, I was really confused on why he would do such a thing with me. He had me. It was crazy. Like, I was like, what? He would do this to me? But yes, it happened. And I had to really reflect and do a lot of healing, even coming to God about that stuff. And I remember telling you, Eleanor, like, I literally had to sit down and I had to give him back his stuff. Meaning everything that I endured in that relationship, going through that divorce, dealing with the females, I had to let everybody have their stuff back so I could just deal with Gil. And a little bit of that was shame. I was out here arguing with people, like, just arguing back and forth with people. And at the time I look back, it was so embarrassing. I wish I had the tools. But even through all of this, it taught me so much about who I was. It taught me about my values. When I got divorced, God had gave me Psalms 115, where he said that he was going to establish me and my children. And what God was telling me is, I was a woman, and my mom is listening. In my family, Danisha can attest, no one gets divorced. You know, in our family, everybody is married. So for me to even have to get a divorce, it was almost, I felt ashamed in my marriage, in my family, because nobody really gets divorced. But I had the opportunity to do something that my mom wasn't able to do, that the women in my family wasn't able to do, and that was really get to understand myself outside of man, outside of being in a relationship. And I went back to my first love, which was Jesus, which was God. See, I say this to women all the time. I'm so in love with God and Jesus now because he loved me first. And so many people have to understand that we are loved, we are adored. It's an adoration that comes from God and Jesus. I didn't know that until I allowed God to really establish me. I told my cousin, Jenna Winston, she's a prophet. She had just posted the Cinderella story. And I told Darnisha, literally in 2020, God called me Cinderella. I had it on my wall. And I was like, I'm thinking a man gonna come put this glass slip on my face. I've been praying for a rich man. But God said, no, I'm your Prince Charming. And he has did so much for me. So I'm not ashamed of what I went through in my marriage. I didn't tell him to do that. That has nothing to do with me. I had to learn this. His actions were not indicative of me, pretty much. But in so many marriages, women will take on that shame, that guilt, people talking about you. And it's like, oh, I did something to cause that. But no, everybody is in control of their own self. So when I definitely learned that even if we did have issues, I was working on my stuff. You know what I mean? Working on me as an individual. I can't help an individual that was not doing their part. So again, that had nothing to do with me. So for even women that are out there in marriages, going through certain things, you got to separate what's your stuff versus their stuff. And then talk to God about it. Because as a woman, as a single woman, and I'm with Darnisha, I'm like, Elder, pray for me too, because I want to get married again too. Hold on. But I'm with Darnisha in the sense, like, people always keep telling me, like, you should be married by now. People really tell me this, and I used to think the same thing, like I should. But listen, I'm very content with my singleness until God brings me someone that will love me as Christ loved the church. Because God is not going to give a man me if he can't take care of me like how God has been doing me being single. So I'm content. And there's nothing to be ashamed about.
I totally love it. And I wish, hey, give me just that, ladies. Let me see if I can do something about the choppiness because I'm hearing it still choppy. So just I'm going through these Facebook comments. I can see them. Hello, ladies. If y'all have some questions for the ladies, go ahead and put them in the comments. Hold on just a minute. I'm going to go out here. I don't think it's going to get better from us. Can y'all still hear me, though? I know it might
I can hear you wonderful now. No, it's great.
Okay, good. Thank God. I don't know what happened, y'all. I'm sorry it was choppy. It's been so good. Everything you said, from Darnisha talking about her story, I was already in tears from what Tatiana said in the beginning of the first question. So I've been trying to wipe my eyes the whole time with these stupid glasses on. But anyway, what you said about your marriage, and then her speaking about looking for a husband and all of that shame that comes. It's just so funny because you was in the opposite trying to get out of a bad marriage, and she was getting into marriage. So you never know what life situations people are going to be going through where this shame comes into play. So the enemy can run anything. And so what I'm learning about these seasons of life is no matter where you at in your life, the enemy's going to show up with shame. Whether you feel like whatever situation you in, whether it's a good or bad, he gonna find some way to bring you some type of negativity. Does that make sense to everybody what I'm trying to say here? So whether you single, whether you married, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, whether you're employed or you're unemployed, you own your own business, you work for a corporation, the enemy is always going to be present. What we need to really focus on is what do we do when he shows up? What do we do when the enemy shows up and tries to bring us this shame in the situations that we're in? My story is that, I had a baby with who is now my husband, but when I met my husband, I didn't know the man from Adam, right? So I'm pregnant with this man's baby who I barely know. The world that I'm carrying a child from a man I barely even know. That's embarrassing. That's shameful. It'll be so much shame. But being able to come around on the full side, full circle, and be able to marry him and have kids. I'm this lady who never had a date, y'all. I'm always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Always somebody's third wheel. Just never had a man. And then here I am carrying a baby. Just accelerated my situation very quickly. And that's my story. That's the way that God got me to where I thought I was going to get myself. God got me to where I needed to be. So for women who are thinking, whatever they may be, shame is always going to be there. We got to have an answer for that, right, ladies? And this is what we're giving you guys tonight. Even though all of these stories and all of these things happen to these women here, they are still to share their stories with us today. And if it wasn't for the overcoming, that's the part that I love to hear. How y'all overcame. Wow, and that's what brought tears to my eyes is y'all telling y'all stories that is look what happened to her, and she's here today standing. You know what I'm saying? The enemy could have took you out. That was meant to take you all out. But here you are telling, not only telling your story out loud, but sharing it with other women. Because I think when you tell a story or you have something happen to you and you overcome, that's good. But when you overcome and then you go share with the world and try to get other people up, it takes a special person. You know what I'm saying? You're a different kind of angel to me. In my eyes, you're a different kind of angel. You are a different kind of human being. Your heart is a little more beautiful to me when you're able to go through those things and not only go through it publicly, but to come back and talk about and get other people. Each one teach one. And that to me is that's good. That's a good heart that I love about you ladies. And that's why I was so happy when Gail said that you're bringing the glow squad. I said, yes, bring the glow squad because we all about to glow. Because when you glow, when you like to shine, other people are illuminated as well. When you come into dark places, you light those places up. So it's so good to be able to hear from y'all in that area right there. So
Nora, I have to say that because the reason why even God gave us Glow, gave me Glow, had us develop Glow, the program that we're doing, we have to help people shine a light in their darkness. When you cut your light switch on when it's dark, the darkness goes away. Daniel 12:3 is what God had given us for even to stand. When you shine, you allow other people to shine. When God calls us a light, he says you don't hide a lamp on a hill, you let it glow, you let it shine. So everything that what you're saying, I used to get this a lot from old people I used to be connected to. People would ask them, why do I share so much? Even my cousin, I have to ask people sometimes, am I oversharing? Because I'll share everything. But I have realized, like, it frees me, like, to share. I have to
Yeah.
learn who to vent to and learn who to share with, because you don't want to give the enemy tools to combat with you too. I had to go through this through my divorce. The people closest to me were the one giving people information about me because I didn't care to share, So again, God has given us wisdom. It's not about when you overcome the thing, you talk about that, because that's going to help somebody get through something quicker. While you're going through your valley, you need your warriors. You need the people battling with you. And when you say, how do you combat shame? You got to know God. You got to know God's word, and you got to know it for yourself. Another thing that God has been working with Glow on, working with all of us on, is this is a time where you can't just listen to everybody. See what I'm saying, Elnor? You can't listen to everything that's being shared, quote unquote, about God, about therapy. You don't know who all is really for him. But you can test the person's spirit by going back to his word. But you got to know that word for yourself. So we have had to, again, Tatiana, Darnisha, you, Elnor, like, everything with Glow, y'all know I'm dropping the scripture because it's like his word is written in my heart. So when you in the valley, according to Psalms 23, you know that you have no worries because God is with you. Period. He's with us till we die, and then we back with him. Again, we can speak from a place of confidence because we know. But 3 or 4 years ago, I wouldn't have been this bold to even speak these things because I was unaware. But the more and more I study his word, the more and more we start to understand God's character and that his words are really real. Every scripture in that word, it be real. Like, it's real life. You speak it, it happens. So all I wanted to say is just what you said about the negative thoughts, because it's crazy. This whole week I've been working with my kids on just that, Elnora. It's been how to combat those negative thoughts. I'm teaching them early. You do not got to believe every thought that come into your mind, because where does that thought come from? People ever think about that? Like, where your thoughts even come from when they just popping out of air? You have the power to challenge those thoughts. And I don't care about the situation. How do you want to see this going for you? Right. I could have stayed stuck when my son passed, but I didn't want to live like that. I had to live. How did I get out of the situation? I started speaking life over myself. Yeah, he might have passed, but I'm still here. You got to know things for yourself, but you got to sit at his feet. Get the counseling, get the therapy you need. We got a whole program for it. God did Glow. We didn't do it. So all I'm gonna tell you is it's taking this thing out on its own. Even with Girl Talk, you didn't come up with this, Nora. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
God did
Exactly.
And so we just doing it, but it's going to help as many people that can not buy into it, but understand this is what's going to save your life.
I was gonna say, Darnish, you want to go?
Oh, I was just going to pick back up. Gail said how powerful the tongue is, how powerful it is, and important to use your voice. This is often the time where people are silenced when you're talking about shame. This is often the time where we keep a lot of things inside, and that's when those thoughts come. But use your voice. You know what I'm saying? The Bible talks about that, how powerful the tongue is, and you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. When you're going through these things and when you're talking about shame and having to heal from all these things in your life, your voice is one of the most powerful tools that you have. And for a lot of us, it does not become real that we are actually dealing with it until we speak about it. So don't be ashamed to use your voice and be open enough to talk about your truth, because it's a part of your life.
Just do
so
it.
I want everybody to understand that part.
Do it in a safe place.
Absolutely. Do it in a safe place. I was going to do it in a safe place.
But I was going to say it's not like an ABC order, because a lot of times people are looking for it to be, step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's not how it is, because like Gail said, she lost her son. She was able to spend time with him over the years. With me and myself, I lost my daughter that I carried for 6 months. So I had a stillborn birth. And so that going through that, having children, and you see 3 beautiful children, and then you go through a process for years. You have a miscarriage one year, then the next year you have another miscarriage, and it's progressive. And then you end up, I had a stillborn. And so it was just like, I can have kids, but what's going on with me, now? And so the enemy is making me feel like, yeah, what God promised you isn't coming, because I know God promised me a son. And I don't have a son yet, but the enemy is just like, I'm going to use everything against you. And then guess what? I have a stillborn birth, and it's a girl. And I'm just like, here we are. Okay. And so it's just like one of those things. So he just, when I say jumped on me and tried to put this real dark cloud over me, and it was just like, but I know I can't stay here. And it's just like, I have 3 other children that I have to raise, and I know I can't stay in this dark place.
Right.
And so it wasn't an ABC order. It was a cry. I had to go to God, and I said, if I know you want to use me, but I can't use me with feeling all this hurt, feeling all this pain, feeling all this shame of not being able to have a child. I was like, if you want me like you say you want me, if you want to use me for what you say you're going to use me for, I need you to come take this. I need you to come deal with this. And in that moment, he came and dealt with it. And so it wasn't an ABC order. It wasn't something that lined up for me. It was just me using my voice to cry out to my daddy. You gotta come for me. I need you to come for me. And it can be that simple for us to just look to him and say, where you at? I need you to come. I need you here. Help me, heal me through, get me out of this or whatever. And a lot of times with storms, I know people say you got to stay in this storm, you got to walk through it, and you got to do X, Y, and Z. But God knows what he put in you. He knows what he's giving you. But in those moments, he is not meant to hurt you, and he's not going to allow you to die from the things that you experience. But he will come for you. He will meet your need, and he will come where you at. And so I'm grateful that even though I've dealt clearly, as you guys can see, with a lot of shame, throughout my life, but God has never shamed me, even for the mistakes that I've made, even for the things that I know I did in college, that I knew I shouldn't have done. Yeah, the turn up was real, as just being in the sorority and all those different things. But God has never shamed me. Even though I fell short plenty of days, he still chose me. And this is what I've told my team before. I said, God has looked at us. He looked at the beginning of our lives, and he went to the end of our lives. He already knew what was going to happen in the middle. And he said, I still want you. And so if God still chooses us, that's all we need, is to know that we're chosen. It's not about what Johnny said about what you did 3 years ago. It's not what Sally said about what you did last night. It's about who God has already chosen you to be. It's time for us to step up and say, I'm going to walk and I'm going to be the chosen.
Yes. I forgot what my next question was, because I'm still stuck. It was so good. I had something in my mind I was going to ask you, Tatiana, the shame. And I won't, and I like what you said yesterday, or what you did in college, or last night, or last week. God, he doesn't work. Right? Oh, that was last night, so you can't be with my graces. Or that was last year, too soon for you to heal. Even if it was an hour ago, ladies, it's never too soon to begin this healing. It's today. Even if it was last hour, you just cut someone out and embarrassed to how you acted, or how you treated that person, or whatever the case may be. I'm just dropping scenarios on y'all. He's an infinite God. He comes in and it doesn't matter when you looking at 8 years, he's looking at that's no time to God. Or a week is no time. You realize that he's ever present. He's omniscient in all places, in all things, and in all spaces. He's been before you. He was here before you came, and he's going to be away. You got to stop meditating and focusing on the time. Oh, it's too soon. I'm ready for this. I just did that last week. Who cares? God is here for you you right now. Just like you said, that was so good. I forgot what my train of thought was with the other stuff. But ladies talked about shame. You talked about what shame was and how you overcame in your life. So talk about how on the turnaround, coming into situations into you that would have shamed you before. How are you dealing with it as it comes upon you? Because I know you talked about experiences and what happened to you in the past. So when things come at you, or what is coming to you in the future, because it doesn't in its life, how do you handle that, or what are you doing now?
I'll speak on this a little bit. What you asked, you was a little bit choppy, but I'm just gonna repeat back what you said. Like, how do you continue to walk through things now? Once you have your identity, you know stuff is still going to happen. And the crazy thing is, you speaking about that, but Tatiana has shared, Darnisha has shared, I have shared, like kind of where we still are, and we're glowing. You know what I mean? Like for real glowing out here. But we all still have our private battles, right? So the thing is to keep those private battles until it's won, make it be as private as possible. I have learned this. And again, it's not that being ashamed about it, but it's like walk through it. We're walking through it with the wisdom, with the knowledge, and with the tools that we have. A lot of things, like Darnisha said, it gets easier to handle. It's funny that you say this because even this morning I was irritated by a situation. I was talking to Tatiana Darnisha about it. And I could have went 0 to 100, but then I thought, no, God has to use me today. I gotta be on at 7 o'clock. I'm not gonna be distracted by this. The God says this: when you resist the devil, he really does flee. You got to start understanding what you're giving attention to. As all three of us are still walking through certain private things, we don't even give attention to it, if that makes sense. Like, we focus on what God is telling us to do. We focus on what God is calling us to do, and that's the most important thing. As healed people, we went from broken women to whole, complete women. Even you, Nora. And so now, as a whole person, it's not saying that we don't have issues or problems, but we deal with them in a way better way. We have coping skills. We have accountability. We got tools, and most importantly, we got His word. All three of us are big. All four of us, will put it this way: we are victorious, right? And we come and we speak from a place of victory. So no matter the battle now, no matter the issues that we are facing, we already won. It's like we just know this. I don't know how to say it. But again, you won't know it unless you know whose you are and whose you are. So it's easier to combat the situations and problems you go to. You got to stay close to God. Psalm 23. I think it was Patrick Weaver. I think, Darnisha, when you had sent me this, Psalms 23 is just my scripture, y'all. It's just been a blessing to my soul this year because I've been at rest. I've been at peace. God literally gave me this beginning of the year. I've been able to rest in Him. And David even says, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil because God's rod and staff protect me. And Patrick Weaver had posted like, David didn't ask why he was walking through the valley. He just walked through it. So now we understand we just walking through this stuff and gaining experiences. When you change your perspective on anything that you're battling or anything that you have, like, I'm just learning something really from this, or I know I'm going to get through it. God, what do you want me to gather? Again, wisdom, y'all. We are so experienced and we're so smart in a sense because we are learning the lessons in the stuff that we have to go through. If you're going to go through it, you need to be learning. So many people, like the people in the wilderness, had to go through stuff years and years and years. A 40-year journey, a 40-day journey lasted 40 years. They didn't understand what God was trying to teach them. Learn what it is that you need to learn in your situation and you get out of it quicker. It's just the truth. So in anything that we all are walking through, we finally just said, like, hold on, devil. We ain't gonna let you keep punking our lives. Yeah, you might have swung on us. You know, this is the fight, Nora. What you talking about? He takes swings on us. But then you gotta swing back. So I'm gonna swing back by ignoring you. I'm gonna swing back now by speaking God's word. God said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. So it ain't prospering, it ain't working. You got to not only believe it, but you got to live this. And I'm telling you, I have seen it personally with Tatiana, Darnisha, and myself. We have been living this way, this life here about the past 4 or 5 years developing, and we have won every battle. There's not a battle that we haven't won. And so I have to say, we are victorious through Christ Jesus. He already won for us, but we got to know it, and we got to know his word and use his tools. Ephesians, he gives us every tool we need to battle. You got to put on your breastplate. You got to put on your sandals of peace. You got to have your sword of faith. Thank you, Tatiana. You got to have your helmet of salvation on. Like, you got to dress for war every day. We do it. Like, and so now with these women and we do it. God is preparing us. So this is how you walk through life. Get your weapons on and fight. And then every day in the battle, like I said, I live my life freely now. I don't even be worried about the devil most of the time. I just don't, because I really learned he's a bully, and all he wants to do is get your attention. I don't give my attention to nothing. I don't want wasting my time.
Exactly. I love that. Did anybody else have anything to say on that too? Or any other comments? Can y'all hear me okay? Am I still mute?
I could hear you.
Am I mute? Sorry, I didn't know if I was still mute or not.
Oh no, I was gonna say I can.
I was trying to cut my mic out so I can hear y'all as possible. But if you want to go ahead.
Just real quickly, I won't take too much time. So as far as just understanding what shame is, and like you said, what it comes to do and what the enemy's tactic is, they never change. And so he brings you the exact same thing every single time. It may look different. He may say it a little different, but at the end of the day, it's still the exact same thing. But it's still up to us to make that choice, whether we're going to believe the lie or we're going to stand against it. And so in my life and just what I'm seeing that God made me understand is that I'm having you to walk through this process. And no matter whether you go from relationship to relationship, or whether you go from friendship to friendship or job to job, no matter what that is and what you believe that it's everybody else, guess what, Tatiana? You're still going to have to walk through it. Also, before we got on, we were talking about names and understanding. You have to know your name. You have to know who you've been called to be, and you have to own it and walk in it, because guess what? Whether you know it or not, the enemy knows. And so you're like, wow, this hell is breaking through in my life. I just don't get it. I don't understand. But the enemy like back laughing at you like, but I do, and I know why I'm coming for you. And so it's, when do you come to a point to where you're just like, okay, I got to take a stand for my life, and not only my life, but for everything that's coming behind me. And so everybody that obviously came before you obviously didn't do their job, but that's why the assignment was given to you, for you to stand up to do yours. And so when it comes to shame, it's one of those things. It's just like Pastor Tim Ross, if you guys know him, he spoke at Transformations B1 conference, and what he said is you got to get that you got to laugh at the devil. It's a point you got to just start laughing at him like, this is what you're doing? You want to bring this silly stuff at my door again? And I'm saying that because literally just a couple of days ago, I told Gail, I said, Gail, tell me why I got an inbox from somebody from high school. I haven't seen you in over 20 years. Why are you in my inbox? Like stuff like that. Some things don't even deserve a response. So the enemy, you just have, in some cases, we just have to ignore him because he's not doing anything new. Oh, okay, this is what you did when you were younger, when you was in high school, you was promiscuous and you was out there. Okay, let me see if you'll still bite. I want, and so that's the thing about it is that, and he tried to bring shame on us a long time ago. The shame started with Eve. He tried to
Yes.
shame women when he deceived her. And so it's just like it's been this uphill battle. And he's forever gonna hate women and he's forever feel like he's gonna always we're weaker, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. He's gonna always continue to make it seem as if we're the weaker ones and we don't know enough and we don't have enough. And at the end of the day, God is continuing to build up women. God is continuing to make us rise higher. God is continuing to show people, hey, I have this woman, she's educated, she's bright, and guess what? I'm in her. And so she's going to thrive. She's going to glow. And so at the end of the day, I love just what God is doing. And when it comes to shame, I will never let shame overtake my life ever again. And one thing we have to understand is you can't lose you. When you've lost you is when you'll have allowed shame to overtake your life. Don't lose you. Don't lose you.
Yeah. Just one last thing I've done too, Nora, because that's the thing. Shame is a feeling. You're entitled to feel whatever, but like what Tatiana, just don't let it have you. You can feel whatever. You don't have to believe it though. That's it. Feelings change, but you can change your thoughts.
Yes. I will do my one last thing as well. And that is something that we all agree on, is that we are a lot more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. So don't allow anybody to take your power. You have the power to change your life. It is in your hands. You have all the power you need. You have God, you have Jesus, you have a community of women, you have therapists, you have people out here. You have the power to change your life. Do not allow the shame that you get given to yourself or others have put on you. You are powerful.
Yeah, I totally agree. Wow, that was so good, y'all. We was all taking notes. I took a lot of mental notes, and I'll go back and look at this video again, like I always do. I always look at my videos after I have people on, and I just like, oh my God, that was a good. But this time around, I couldn't even hardly get through the interview because I just loved everything that you ladies were saying and just dropping all the gems. You know, I didn't know y'all was coming hard like that, but I knew Gail did warn me. She did tell me that y'all were gonna be
Nora, we was ready.
and I knew it was gonna be good. So I was already there. I just had somebody come get my kids because I didn't want no interruptions from all the things that I knew was getting ready to come forward tonight. But I hope everybody enjoyed it. I can tell from the comments, I enjoyed it. I hope y'all go back and read those later on. But I want to thank you, ladies, for definitely being a part of our community and coming to share my space with me today. It's been so good. I got to do part two. Obviously, I'm going to pull y'all back on here again. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but we may just continue this or we'll do something else. But definitely in the future, I want to have you back. And I just absolutely love you, ladies. What I want you guys to do is tell them where they can find you on Facebook, Instagram, all social medias. We'll just go around the table. If you have personal pages you guys have too outside of the Glow community as well, collectively, I want to hear a little bit about that. But just let the ladies know how they can keep track of you guys and where we can find y'all on social media. And you can go first, Tatiana.
It's so funny. I'm just on Facebook, and you can simply put in Tatiana Smith, and you can find me. I'm not like Gail and Darnisha. I'm not. I have an Instagram, but I'm tell you, I won't check it because I don't be on there like that. But if you really want to, yeah, Tatiana Smith, you'll be able to find me as public.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook as myself, Darnisha Sellers. I also have a private practice, Enhanced Life Counseling, so you can also find me on that. I'm also Instagram, faith_driven_83 as well.
What was that Instagram one more time, Darnisha? You cut off.
The Instagram one, I believe, is faith_driven.
Okay.
That one on there, so you can find me on there as well.
All right, great. And go ahead, Gail.
Gail Cato, Facebook, also Gail Cato -LPC for all counseling information. Also, we have Glow Stars at Thinkific, which is our Glow Stars Academy information. And for Instagram and Clubhouse, I'm Glow Monroe. Clubhouse, I'm Glow Monroe Star. But everything else outside of Facebook, I'm always gonna be Glow Monroe. I've been that way for a long time.
I like it. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, y'all make sure you guys follow up with these ladies, and of course, we're gonna have them back. Y'all, Academy, right? Can they enroll in that right now, Gail, or how would they be able to get enrolled?
Of course. Yes, what I'll do is put the link in the comment section. But yes, what Glow is pretty much is for the silent community. As we've been talking about shame and how to learn how to free yourself from this and not hide the things that you've gone through. We develop an online course to walk you through 52 weeks of these topics. So shame is one of them. All the things we kind of address is within Glow. Every week you're getting a weekly assignment, a weekly content, written content as well, and also a video. I mean, we're talking to you just like we're doing right now, Nora. So we're dropping the same jewels in there, and these is for people that are tired of living in shame, that want to know who they are and want to know who they are in Christ Jesus. And honestly, it doesn't matter if you believe, if you don't believe. The way this world is going, you're going to want to know something that can really help your life. So I don't care if you're an atheist, apply it, because it still works and you're going to need it where life is going. I'll put it into the comments, Mark.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you. And thank you guys for hanging in here with us tonight. I know it was a little challenging. One of my girl talkers said that they could see the caption, so they was good to go. So I'm happy you stuck in here with me. But thank you, ladies, once again for coming on the show. It was great. I enjoyed every minute of it. You guys back again, like I said. And guys, I will be back again next week, 7 o'clock. I have a new guest next week, and I hope you guys tune in. And once again, thank you guys for coming on the show today, and I hope everybody has a good night.
Thanks for having us, Nora.
Thank
Of
you. We
course.
really
Nora,
appreciate
look,
it.
let me make
Tell
sure I get
Nora,
this
thanks for
right.
having us.
Thank you.
Yes, okay.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
my kids are home now. Look, the battle begins.
I love y'all though, and I will see y'all soon. Y'all have a good night.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
About to hang up.